Yes, people, what's happening? Nice one for coming back to the Fuse UK. It's much appreciated as always. Excuse the sound of blockage in my voice, full of COVID-19, but we still go on. And tonight's guest, we've got the number one lightweight contender in the world, James Lights Out Lilley. What's happening, brother? You good?
Yeah, mate, how you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Thanks. What's been happening?
I know I still can't get over you calling me number one. It's fucking mad.
It's right on it, mate.
Yeah, it's a strange old experience, you know. I spent most of my life trying to get to that position, and I still can't can't fathom what's been happening the last 12 months since I made my BKFC debut. It's crazy.
Number one in the world, mate.
Yeah,
Class.
it's mad. I still got to like kind of pinch myself about all the good stuff that's happened since going over to them.
Yeah, 100%, mate. We'll take it back to obviously the Bobby Taylor fight. BKFC 36, was that right?
Yeah, 36. Yeah,
Yeah, tell us about that, mate. Going to America and that. 'Cause I know I was talking to you just before when you got confirmed with the Bobby Taylor fight, wasn't it?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was mate, that I've gone over there twice now. Fought in two different states, which I probably never would have visited New Orleans. I've always watched like it on TV and stuff, but it's not one of the ones you'd think about going on like a family holiday to. And
Yeah,
it's a mad old place. It's a crazy place, but the people were cool as fuck over there. The whole experience was it was like once in a lifetime type thing. I
yeah,
took two of my cornermen who've never been to America. They came over with me, and like as you know yourself, you've been over a few times. It's a completely different world over there. Like I heard you say last night on the podcast with Tyler, and he was saying like he stopped in banks and stuff, and the fan base over there because they got such a big population. Even like if they've got like 1% of the population who love bare knuckle fighting, that's still millions and
millions
millions.
of people. Yeah,
It's madness. Like over here, you mentioned bare knuckle, and people are still like, "Well, that's a sport." But over there, they're so big on things in America. It's mad. People were stopping me. We came out of the fight, and kids were grabbing me, asking for photos. You
class.
ex UFC fighters like, "You're my favorite fighter." Like I'm like typical Welsh British person going up to people going, "Oh hi, I'm James," and they're like, "Fuck man, we know who you are," and I'm like, "All right,"
Class.
it's a typical British thing, isn't it? You got to someone
Yeah.
and introduce yourself, and they're like, "Yeah, we know who you are. You're fucking the co-main event," and shit. It's mad. It was a hell of a buzz out there.
Yeah. So how did you feel like obviously going into the fight, the win, obviously the actual fight was it totally different to the last time you were out in America? Would you say? Did you enjoy it a lot more?
Yeah. Do you know what? I enjoyed the whole experience more, but I felt I don't know if I said this in the podcast we did before the fight. I felt a bit of pressure from the fight because, like, when I went over to Florida, I was underdog, kind of an unknown. Against Tyler, I was an underdog. But in this fight, I was the favorite. I was like number one. So I felt the pressure from the fight a little bit more. I felt like I had a bit of a target on my back.
Yeah.
So I kind of I wouldn't say nervous because I'm always nervous before a fight, but I had a different type of feeling around me. Um, and yeah, it was a different feeling, but it was something else that I've now added to my experience of like fighting away from home, fighting on in a different country within a couple of days. It's all adding to my CV, and I think it's only making me better. Yeah, it was a weird one because although I was favourite and like the BK bet show was like tipping me to win and everyone was tipping me to win, all I heard all week was Bobby's really tough, he's a really hard hitter, and it kind of pissed me off a little bit. Not that I was pissed off with Bobby, I was pissed off with just being told the same thing over there, like you got a box, you got a box to win, you got a box to win. So I kind of changed my game plan, and that's why I went after him a bit more. And pushed
Yeah.
him back a bit more because I wanted to show, you know, I'm a tough guy too. You know, just because I can box, it doesn't mean, you know, I can't have a scrap as well. And it kind of made for a bit more of an entertaining fight.
Yeah, so did the fight go the way you were expecting it to go? Like, did Bobby turn up like you were expecting him to?
In all honesty, no. I changed my game plan literally the day before the fight. I was sat. I honestly, like, you seen the way I boxed in the Tyler fight, and I thought Bobby was similar to Tyler, although Tyler's probably a better boxer, better with his head movement. But maybe then Bobby Taylor is known for punching harder. So I thought I'd have to box the same way. And then the day before, we have like a meeting with the commentators, and they talk you through your game plans. They can talk about it on air. And they said, "Oh, what are you going to do?" And I just went, "You know what? I'm going to fucking push him back." And they went, "Really?" And I went, "Yeah." I said, "No one's ever pushed him back." I said, "I'm going to push him back and see what he's made of." Because even Martin Trey Brown, when he fought him, he was still boxing and moving. Although he dropped him a couple of times, he was still boxing and moving. He wasn't engaging and pushing him back. So I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm going to change it up a little bit. And when the ref, you know, said toe the line, he took a step back off the scratch line. So I was like, so he's going to try and change his tactics as well. And yeah, it made for a more interesting fight, so to speak, you know.
Yeah, class. And obviously now that fight's out of the way and you're in the position that you are, what's the plans next for you? Are you always staying active after the fight, or do you have quite a bit of time off until you get a bit of news?
To be honest, the last two fights they've taken a bit out of my hands. Obviously, I spoke to yourself about the Tyler fight, and I shattered my knuckle. And I didn't get it seen to. And my hands are fine compared to that time, but they're still a little bit sore. So I like to take a little bit of time off. I still been getting my runs in. Still been doing like classes in my gym, like normal fitness classes. So I like to stay in the gym. I'm a bit of a gym rat, you know. I think it helps with my mood as well. You know, my family notice when I am being in the gym, I get a bit more touchy. You know, it's kind of like a release. But to be honest, like I've spoken to yourself today, I spoke to my manager today. I'm kind of itching to get back in. Then I think it's because BKFC put on so many shows that are quality that I just get like the buzz from it all the time. You know, I just like fuck. I want to be on that show. I want to be on this show. So yeah, I'm in and out of the gym. I'm not obviously hitting it as hard, but I'm just waiting now for the date and trying my best to keep my weight down, which I've just eaten a chocolate bar. It's not happening, you know.
That's the thing with the BKFC now, though. With them putting that many shows on, you could be off for like say 3 months, and figuring nine or 10 shows could have went past by then.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I don't think I like the way they do it. You know, it's a bit like the UFC do it, but I don't think because there's so many shows that I've had time to dust out, because after my fight, the week later was Connor's fight, you know, and obviously I had a lot of friends fighting on that show, Connor, you know, Die Round, a few others. So I was watching that show, and then I think it was meant to be Delray Beach last week. So it's non-stop. So it's great because you always know there's going to be fights out there, but it's hard then trying to work out who you're going to be fighting next or when the next show is, you know, because there's so many moving parts at the moment.
Yeah, but with you being number one now, there's potentially massive fight out there for you next, isn't there? Because obviously you've been promised, or well, they can't not give you it now with you being number one, a title shot.
Yeah.
Or at least an interim if Palomino's not going to defend it yet, but keep an hold of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we were told that. We got told before we walked out the changing room that it was a title eliminator, and if it was a draw after 5 rounds, we'd have the sudden death round. So that put a little bit of pressure on me again. I was like, fuck, tell me before I walk out. But I think it's only big things from here now. I obviously my first choice is going to be Palomino for the title because he's number one pound for pound, and the only way I'm going to get to that level is to beat him. So, and that's no disrespect for him. You know, I think he's a great champion, but that's who I need to fight to be the best. But if it's not him, the lightweight division's stacked at the moment, and I'm fucking really interested to see what happens over the next 2-3 shows.
Yeah, like obviously Chad Mendes is fighting at 155, isn't he?
Yeah, Eddie Alvarez. I thought they were going to do it 165, but they've put up on the website lightweight now. So if Mendes wins, he's probably going to climb back up the rankings, maybe to the second or third spot. Don't know, it's
Obviously, it's his name as well, isn't it? His name can jump him up a few spots as well. Not saying that he's not a great fighter, which he is, but you understand what I mean, don't you?
Yeah, he's got kind of he's probably, I'd say, the biggest name they got in the box. There's probably an argument between him and Mike Perry, but they like crossover MMA superstars. It's like pretty much everyone knows who they are. So yeah, so it would probably bump them up the rankings, and that would draw a lot of eyes on it. But then, would Palomino want to fight Mendes if he goes back up the rankings anyway? Because that's a big name for him. So, all I can do is just put myself in the position I've put myself in, and just hope. Well, not hope because I fucking worked for it, but but just wait for the name they're going to give me. I don't want to take any more fights now without it being for some version of the strap,
Yeah, of course, mate, and rightly so. But what do you think of all these superstars coming over, like Luke Rockhold and that?
I like it because it brings eyes to the sport, and I don't think all of them are there to be bare knuckle fighters. I think some of them are there to try a different sport. And also maybe get like a payday out of it. I know that sounds crazy, but I think some of them are marquee signings, and they won't. Like Mike Perry's, obviously, he wants to make a career of bare knuckle because he's fought two very good fighters, and he's got a third fight, so he's obviously trying to get himself up the rankings. Do I think other people like Luke Rockhold and Eddie Alvarez would stick around? I don't know. I know it's bringing eyes to the sport, and more eyes to the sport means more eyes on the people who are genuine, veterans and stuff. I think, like I said to you before, there's going to be some point in the future where people choose between MMA, boxing, and bare knuckle, and that's what that third choice. Then instead of being an MMA superstar or a boxing superstar and coming over to bare knuckle, you'll genuinely have bare knuckle fighters who've just got bare knuckle experience, and that's the point I'm looking forward to.
Do you think Chad Mendes actually wants to be a bare knuckle fighter, or do you think he's grabbing a payday? Because I think after his last fight, didn't his missus get pregnant? He was having a baba, wasn't he?
I do you know what? I've only followed his story the last 6 months so because I've been giving him shit, but I don't know too much about what he gets up to. Like in his first couple of interviews with BKFC, he was talking quite a lot about MMA, saying thank you to the UFC for letting me compete in this and stuff. So I expected him to go back to MMA. To be honest, I think he was just looking to keep active, and then go back to UFC. So I don't know, but he's taking another fight, but again, it's against a guy who isn't a genuine bare knuckle fighter. He fought a guy smaller than him in his debut. Does he want to really mix it with the guys who were like experienced, battle hardened, battle tested? I don't think so. I unless like they dangle a title in front of him with a nice payday and a couple of zeros, I don't think he's going to want any of the smoke of any of the other guys in the top 5.
Does Chad Mendes go 5 rounds with James Lights Out, Lilley?
Never in a million years. You put your house on that.
It could happen, mate. You never know, because when I seen obviously you were number 1 of off Canal, you could actually get this Chad Mendes fight here, because if he comes through Eddie Alvarez, mate, you're a beat together, won't you?
Yeah, it's crazy because I didn't realize they'd gone up to number 1 in the rankings. You messaged me and to tell me, and I had a load of guys over from France filming me for a documentary, and they were like, "You're number 1." I was like, "Oh no, I'm number 3." And they're like, "No, you're number 1." I was like, "No, I'm number 3." And then I picked up my phone, and you'd messaged me saying congratulations. So I was like, "Fuck, what's happened?" So yeah, So yeah, and putting myself in that position gives me the option of people chasing me. And if Mendes goes up to number 2 and Palomino not vacate, I don't think he'd vacate. I think he'd just put an interim title on the line. It puts it in a very interesting position. I think the only thing, like I've said to you off air, goes against me is the timings. I don't think Mendes will want to fight more than twice this year, especially with the paycheck he gets. I think if he wins, I think I'd have to wait for like late summer, early winter, early autumn, to get that type of fight. And I think they'd probably look to do it somewhere. Where's he from? Is it Miami? No, he's from Colorado, isn't he?
Yeah, something mad like that. I don't think he's not from Miami, I don't think.
Yeah, I think they'd wait for one of the big shows. Like Miami's always a sellout. New Mexico, they sold out because of Trout and Sanchez. I think they'd have to wait for a big show, unless they do want to come with the Wales and I can punch him his head in Swansea. The Swansea show would do me fine.
So is that your aim, hopefully, for your next fight, to fight in Swansea, or is that just a fight you want down the line and you want to keep active out in the USA?
Oh yeah, honestly, I'd rather finish my career stateside. The love. That's not to say I don't get much love in Swansea, but the love I get over in America and is fighting in another country. I've fought in Swansea on other shows plenty of times. Obviously, if they offer me a fight in the arena, that would cap off my career, headlining a huge show in my hometown. But I think it would probably be further down the line. I'd like to win the title stateside and then come back to Swansea to defend it. I think that would be the dream. I think it would also bring a lot of other bare-knuckle fighters through and put them on the stage. There's a couple from Wales who want to get involved in bare-knuckle. There's obviously Di Round, who's making a name for himself as well.
I think
it'd be a good show.
Commented in the comments, Lilley is a walkout music thief.
I didn't realise he'd had the same song as me for Wembley.
Is what? Sorry.
Yeah, the same walkout song I had in Wembley. It was the Welsh World Cup anthem, Imo Heed. And I've been listening to it in a car, and it gets you well up for it. It's basically about the Welsh language and the English. Yeah. And he said, "Oh, you saw my fucking song." I said, "Oh, I didn't realise you had the same one," because I was obviously backstage when he walked out in Wembley, so I didn't see his ring entrance.
He said, "See you next Saturday at the Drunk Poets Society night." You're still doing all the poetry and that, James? Yeah,
I'm. To be honest, I'm finding it a lot harder to find time to write at the moment. Like, it kind of.
Do you ever get writer's block?
Say again, sorry.
You ever get like writer's block?
Yeah, I've kind of got it at the moment. I get like little ideas, but with the fighting, it seems that when the fighting takes off, like my phone's always non-stop now. Like, people messaging me for different things and me doing different things, and I just don't seem to have the time to sit down and write like I used to. I used to come home from work after training or whatever, and I'd find a corner and sit down. Now, because my kids are getting bigger and stuff, I just don't seem to have the time in the house to write. And then when I'm in work, I can't really find a quiet corner because I'll go sit down, look at my phone, and I'll have like a load of messages to do different things. So I think I need to be more disciplined with it and kind of treat it like I did when I first started out, where I'm like, right, for this hour of the day now, phone's off, no distractions. But yeah, like you said, like as you know, you've done hip hop and stuff like that before. Sometimes it's hard just to you're getting an idea, but then if you don't get it down on paper or whatever straight away, it kind of like just evaporates. It's difficult at the moment.
It's horrible, isn't it? Really, it's a horrible thing to do when you want to write, but. And then you'll have days where it'll just roll off you. It'll just roll off you. It'll be mint.
It's mad because when we were in lockdown and I was writing quite a lot, I kind of chased the buzz of getting these poems published across different things every week. I was like, I more or less had to have a poem published every week. I was chasing it, and then it kind of, my writing was getting, I wouldn't say getting worse, but I probably wasn't putting out as much quality. It was more quantity. So I kind of stepped back for a bit then, and then I started writing specifically to read at the live events. So yeah, I kind of, it kind of gone a different way because the fighting then started going up and it kind of took over a bit. So I think the good thing is the writing will always be there. I think once I do eventually call it a day, which won't be anytime soon, the way it's going, I'll eventually be able to sit down and write a bit more. And I think it's just keeping. I got some good ideas for stories and stuff. I just haven't got the time, to commit to it, And it's the same with. I treat it a bit like fighting because unless I can commit to training and I'm willing to give up, parts of my life like going to the pub and all that shit to be a fighter, I won't do it. Unless I'm committed to it, I won't do it. It's not the type of person I am.
It's you have to be in a good place as well, don't you, to write good? Like it's pointless forcing yourself to rush, and you have to be in like a good place to do good work, don't you? Really?
Yeah, it's
no,
weird.
I don't mean like in a good place. I mean like mentally comfortable to be able to write.
Yeah, it's like I write quite a lot of dark shit, so I've got to be in like a mentally strong position to tap into those dark memories. Otherwise, fucking, I'd be a blubbering mess. I wouldn't be able to fucking handle it. So, and then the other thing with that is sometimes I come home from training and I'm so fucking tired. I'm just like, I can't be bothered. I'd rather just stick on a film on the sofa and fall asleep on the sofa. It's a weird one, like.
Yeah, figured out, mate. But before we wrap it up, mate, I was just wondering if I could get your thoughts on what you thought of the London show, BKFC 37.
Yeah, it was. Do you know what? I was meant to go. The plan was I was going to take my missus away to London for her birthday, and take her out shopping all day in London Saturday, and then we're going to go to the fighting in the night. She was a bit like, look, I've had fighting on my mind for the last 8 weeks. Do you mind if we do something different? So I ended up taking her to Bristol with a couple of her friends, like a surprise night out. So we went on the piss in Bristol, and come fucking 8 o'clock, she's like, oh, where's James? I'm sat in the corner of the bar watching the BKFC on my phone, and she's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, it's fine. And then if one of her friends got fucking hammered, so we had to leave this bar by 11, so we ended up going back to the hotel because we had a 24-hour bar. I was just watching the fights on my phone, and some of the fights were fucking incredible. I know Connor was really disappointed with the way it ended, but that was one of the best fights I've seen. Dai Rung was in a great fight. I can't think of the rest of the card, but I watched most of the card, and I've watched a couple of the fights a few times, and I thought it was a brilliant night. It was a really, really good fight. A really, really good stable of fights,
Yeah, it was, mate. It was class. David Rounds just sent some up at you there. Big love, James. You can have my YMAOHYD. I'm people.
Emma O'Heed.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I can't pronounce. But, is there anything else you want to share with us, bro?
Me or Di?
Yeah, you.
Nothing at the moment. Seen you did a good podcast with Tyler last night. And I seen he was asking for the rematch, so I'm a man of my word. Said if we were to get to those, if he wins his next fight and puts him in a position, why not do it down the line? I got no hard feelings against the guy. We get on pretty well, actually. We talk quite a lot, and yeah, I'd love to run it back with him. Thought it was a great fight the first time. I wouldn't mind running it back with him, but when will that be? I don't know at the moment with the way the division's stacked. Yeah, it's all good at the moment. I still can't quite fathom where I've got myself to. It's fucking bizarre, like.
Mate, it's a proud moment, mate, isn't it, when you think about it? Of all these lads, mate, who were going to all these BKFC tryouts, who were coming over from different platforms, getting in fights, to work your way through it, mate, coming from England over on an American promotion and being ranked #1 in the world, mate. It's something to be proud of, that, pal.
Yeah, I'm not the type of person like my one of my coaches, he says, "Oh, I get imposter syndrome because he's never fought." He's like, "Why should I be in the corner with you?" And he's a very good coach, and I think he puts himself down. But I do the same thing. I'm like, fuck it hell, it's crazy because I was backstage in New Orleans. I introduced myself to a couple of fighters, Johnny Bedford. And he's like, "Yeah, I fucking know who you are." And then Christine Ferreira flew over from Vegas to watch me, and she put me up on a story saying it was the truth, and she was messaging me. And I'm like, these are some of the fucking best fighters on the planet, and they're speaking to me. Like, it's a privilege to be a part of, and I'm forever grateful for BKFC taking me on. I think it's literally changed my life. It's a crazy world.
And you've got to think the way you're looking at this, Johnny Bedford and that, like, oh, look, there's the stars. That's how all the other people are looking at you, mate.
I know. Honestly, there was these fucking kids, right? And they run up to me after the fight. They come out of the fight after I had my eye stitched. And they were like, "Oh, you're my favourite fighter." So I had a photo. And I went, "Oh, I got a cap." So I gave one of them a team's lights out cap. And his brother was like, "Oh, can I have one?" And I was like, "Fuck, I've only got one." So I said to my cornerman who was wearing a Team Lights Out t-shirt, I said, "Quick, Dai, give him your t-shirt." And he's like, "What?" I said, "Give the kid your fucking t-shirt." So he pulled over. And then later on in the fucking night, our driver asked us for a fucking t-shirt, and Dai had another Team Lights Out top on, and I was like, "Dai, give him a t-shirt." He's fucking fuming, but it's great. Like I just know I got to take a bit more memorabilia with me next time. Like,
Yeah, that's class, that, mate. Is there any shout outs or sponsors you want to give out, bro?
yeah, I got quite a few. I'll name the ones who've been with me the longest. There's JMW Heating, Plug-in, Grilla Warfare Apparel, King's Fightwear. You put me as what? OC Carpentry, Peter Morgan, Financial Mortgage Advisors, RJM Plastering. These guys all help massively with the costs of camp and getting out there, and it was a real privilege to have their logos on my top. Small businesses in Swansea on a t-shirt in New Orleans. It's fucking crazy,
Yeah, mint, mate. Quality. But like I say, mate, we'll stay in touch like we always do. And
Yeah,
I'm sure
thank you.
you'll have some massive news for us soon, mate. And you'll have to jump back on.
Yeah, hopefully, mate. You said we've had a couple of. Oh, that's another thing I should have said. Really, after the Bobby Taylor fight, we had a couple of boxing promotions from stateside messaging saying they wanted me on their show as well. So I might dip my finger back into a bit of glove boxing. It won't be anything like proper pro boxing, but I'm saying not proper pro boxing. It won't be anything like top rank or anything. But there's some promotions over there that are interested. So we'll see.
Oh, that'll be very interesting, mate. We might as well keep active, mate, and get some more pennies in it, bro.
Oh, I know. I'm just giving my missus grey hairs, but
Class, man. But yeah, mate, we'll stay in touch, mate, and we'll jump back on it soon. Thank you very much for coming on, mate.
Thanks for having me again, mate. Appreciate that.
No worries, James. Speak soon, brother.
Cheers, mate. Nice one.
Bye. Yes, people. The boyo there, James Lilley, doing the UK proud with all the other lads. Ranked #1 in the world now as well. That's class, that. Got some big nights ahead of him. But respect everybody in the comments. PAB Pab, Mr. David Round, the gangster Prince of Wales. Hope you're okay, my man. And Ross is somewhere near, Ross from In the Red Corner podcast. Hope you're okay, brother. And Rick Doughty. Cheers for tuning in, people. Big love and respect. Good night, God bless.